So, we're good? Thank you, yes. Tonight she has a schis for Akiv Simcha ben Faga for Zivigugim for Chav Basmem, Mahuv Basmem, and the Vidari ben Penin Apparel. Also, the guy wrote something on the chat, so it should be a schis of Yerushalayim for that person on the chat that Spielberg wrote. Okay, just a quick. Rivka Ruchbas Chayasura for Yerushalayim. Okay. Yes. Oh man. So now, what's it called? We're going to do a quick recap, just so we all understand. This whole Gemara from Chuf Gimel Amud Aleph is basically one big piece, and there's just a lot of back and forth in between, right? It started off, can you use a animal for a sikkah, right? For a wall of the sikkah. That's how we started off, and we said Rabbi Yehuda says you can, Rabbi Meir says you can't. Then we wanted to know, okay, why does Rabbi Meir say you can't? And we bring two Amiram. Again, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir are Tanaim. We bring two Amiram, Rabbi Zera and Abaya. Rabbi Zera says the reason is because it may run away. The animal may run away, that's why you don't. And Abaya says because it may die. And they're explaining Rabbi Meir. Okay, we bring a bunch of cases back and forth. What happens if you tie it to it or not? There's all different scenarios, if it's an elephant, not an elephant. And we sort of come to the conclusion that at the end of the day, as we turn the daf to Chav Gimel Beis, it basically, Abaya explains in Reb Meir that you are chayash from Misa. Comes the beginning of Chav Gimel Beis and asks, really? Does Abaya really say that Reb Meir holds that you're chayash from Misa, meaning you suspect that the animal may die and therefore you can't use it? I'm going to bring you a question from someplace else. So where do we go? We go to the Gemara in Gittin. The Gemara in Gittin says, two cases, there's a Mishnah and a Brisa. The Mishnah says, if let's say there's a lady who's married to a Kohen, she's Yisraelis, her husband goes away to Medina Siyam, he's very far away, and are we concerned that he's going to die or not? We say she's allowed to eat Truma. Comes the Bryce over there and says, what happens, little different scenario, sort of a stira. What happens if the husband tells her, and what happens? We say there, no, she cannot eat. So obviously you see it's conflicting psaks, shitas. So comes Abai and says, no, it's not a big deal, because it's two different Tanoim that say it. Reb Meir is not chayish from Misa, therefore he says that you can, and Rabbi Yehuda is chayish from Misa. So, and again, this is Abaya. 1 second, but that doesn't work. It's the opposite of what Abaya said by us. So now we want to understand, where does he know it from? So we bring another brisa. Again, this is just a flow of just back and forth and continuation. Brings another brisa of the case of kutim. These kutim were people that are not trustworthy, and this person acquired barrels of wine right before Shabbos, didn't have a way to separate it. But we want to know, can he say, oh, I'm gonna separate it later? Are we concerned that it's gonna break or not? And there we see clearly that Reb Meir holds you can drink from it right away, and Reb Yehuda holds you cannot drink from it right away, which means Reb Meir is not concerned that the barrel will break, Reb Yehuda is. So again, sort of, still conflicting. So the Gemara comes and says, Eipach, switch it around. Let's say that Reb Meir says you are chayash from Misa, and you cannot, meaning by the case of Gittin. And let's say Reb Yehuda says you're not chayash from Misa, right? So now everything works out. Where do we get that from? We get that from our case. Our brisa says clearly that Reb Meir is chayash, Reb Yehuda is not chayash. So we say let's learn it out from there. So comes an obvious question: Kasha Reb Meir ad Reb Meir, Kasha Reb Yehuda ad Reb Yehuda. Why? Because in our Gemara, in our brisa, Reb Meir says chayash from Misa. The animal may die, but by the case of the kutim, he says you could drink, which means it's not going to break. So it's a stira. And we had a simple answer. Apples to oranges is two separate things. One is the animal, which is more shchiach to die, like we said, it's much more common because everything dies. And one is the barrel won't break. So that resolves Reb Meir. And we say, okay, great. Kasha Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yehuda. Why? Because by us he says you could use that animal for a wall. He's not concerned it's going to die. But by this case of the kutim, he says you cannot drink, which means he's concerned it will break. And we come with an answer and we say that's not the reason why Rabbi Yehuda says you can't by the kutim. The reason is because he says I don't hold to this concept called breira. Really, I don't care. I don't think it's going to break. But I don't the whole concept of saying retroactively I'm going to separate it doesn't work. And that's pretty much to where we got to. So we're going to go inside from Epoch, the top, and do the Chazar from last week and get into the new Gemara. And then and the new Gemara today will pretty much wrap up most of this case. Again, there's going to be some more side things that we're going to go through, but it's going to mostly wrap up this case. So the top of the Gemara, the top of Chavdal and Amaraf, the last one in the line, Epoch, like we said, let's switch it around. Let's say Rameir Chash Lemisa, Rabbi Yudaleh Chash Lemisa. Let's say Rameir is Chash Lemisa, Rabbi is not. The Tanya, because we have a brisa where by us. Asala Behema Daifa and L'Sukka, Rameir Paisel, Rabbi Damachsher. So we see clearly each of their shitas, and we're going to go according to that. So comes Kasha, the Rameir. We have a kasha, we have a steer, like we just said outside. And he even adds, he could even give it over to a shomer to watch, so therefore we're not so concerned that it's going to break. Okay, so that Meir resolves himself. Comes the next step. Why is it a question of Rabbi Yehuda himself? And because by us, he says you could use the animal, which means he doesn't think it's going to die. But by the case of B'kiyas Anoid, he says you can't, which means he thinks that perhaps it will break. Say he comes with his answer. Time at Rabbi Yehuda, lav mishum dechayash B'kiyas Anoid. The reason for Rabbi Yehuda is not because he suspects that it will break, but what's his reason? Ella mishum de lesle breira. He doesn't hold to this concept of breira. So now this is going to be the new portion. V'lo chayash Rabbi Yehuda B'kiyas Anoid. That's how it ends off. This is going to be the question. V'lo chayash Rabbi Yehuda B'kiyas Anoid. So now, we just explained Rameir, fine. We just explained Rabbi Yehuda, but the Gemara is going to say, wait a minute, I have another case, which if you would finish off the Brisa by the Kutian, right? Or excuse me, if you would finish off the case of, by the Kutian, that Brisa, if you continue just a few more lines, you see it sounds like Rabbi Yehuda does not hold to that. And the reason is because it will break, not because of Breira. So let's see how it plays out. So it comes like this. Really, you coming to tell me that Rabbi Yehuda is not concerned for the barrel breaking? At the end of that brisa, Amrulai Rameir. Rabbi Yehuda told Rameir, okay, very good, but are you not concerned? You're not concerned because you can watch or whatever, but aren't you concerned somewhat that the barrel will break? Which obviously means that Rabbi Yehuda is concerned. If he's asking the question, why is he asking it? Because he himself would be concerned. Otherwise, what's the point in asking it? So he says like this, and what? There's a continuation of the question, and it comes out that the person drank tevel the mafreya, if the barrel breaks, right? Remember, if the guy drinks from it, says, I will do breira and I'm going to retroactively give it over, and it breaks, what happens? He drank tevel. And what's the punishment for drinking tevel? Misa, it's a problem. So he says like this, so Rameir answered back to him, when it breaks, come to me and ask me, because it's not so common and I don't believe it's going to break. So ask me when it breaks. Sort of telling him it's not a good question. So now, what do we take from this? Like we just said, this, that Rabbi Yehuda asked this question, obviously it seems like he does suspect that it will break. So, Hasam Rabbi Yehuda hu dekamar Rameir. So this is how we really said it. A little, just add a little bit more in between the lines. Rabbi Yehuda told Rameir, Lididi lesli breira. Me, I don't hold of breira, so that's why it's no good. El lididach the yesh breira, but according to you, that does allow breira. Ya tamoida the shemi yivaka anoid. Aren't you concerned that perhaps the barrel will break? Amalei likishi yivaka. So he basically goes back and answers him to this. So Rabbi Yehuda basically says, I don't suspect that the barrel will break at all. The reason why I asked you the question is because I'm asking you the question according to you. According to me, I don't hold this concept breira, so we're good. We can't use it. But according to you that says you could say breira, you could retroactively, are you not a little bit concerned that the barrel will take a break? Rav Meir's answer is, one more time, likashivaka. Okay, let's talk when it happens. It's not going to happen. Fine. So now we're going to continue, and again, ask again on Rabbi Yehuda. Really? V'loi chayash Rabbi Yehuda lemisa? Does Rabbi Yehuda really not suspect for misa b'chalal? By us or by the B'kiyas Anoid? V'atznan, we have a Mishnah. The Mishnah is in Yuma. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Af Isha Acheres Mitaknin Loi Shema Tamas Ishtoi. What does it mean? The Kohen Gadol, on Yom Kippur, it says that who ubeisa. How does it say? If you look at the Torah Shalom, it says v'hikriv aharon es parachatas asher loy v'chiper ba'adi u'ba'ad beisai, and it explains over there what's beisai. Beisai means his wife. So if let's say the Kohen Gadol's wife is niftaris on Yom Kippur, in the middle of the avodah, he's possible for the avodah because he's saying vidoy and he's being mechaper for her. So it's a problem. So what do we say? We prepare for him a second wife, not a reserve. I heard a good word for it, a standby wife. You standby, you have standby, you're standby on the flight, whatever it is, a standby wife, right? If your wife dies,
Is he allowed to have two wives to begin with?
No, so I think not, and I think that's the whole concept. It's a very complicated thing. I didn't go into how the technicalities work, but let's not go into the technicalities, but basically, he has to have one on deck, ready to go. So, comes over here, and we say, 1 second, over there, Rabbi Yehuda is the one that says that you got to have one on standby, which means that what is he concerned about? That the Kohen Gadol's wife is going to die. So he's chayish from Isa. He does suspect it to some extent. So, what do we do? So he says like this. So he says, we learned over there in the Mishnah. We prepare for him, lest his wife is niftaris. Ha'itmar, and it's stated over there, and this is the answer. Ha'itmar Allah, it's stated over there a little bit further. Amar bihuna bereda bishua, ma'ala asu bekapara. They did something extra for kapara, which means Yom Kippur. And the way Rashi says, if you look bekapara, there's Rashi bekapara, it's very small, 3 lines. Bekaparas Yom Kippurin asaboy ma'alazu. They added this extra thing. Why? Shechashash ba b'midi deloy chayash b'alma. Meaning, Rabbi Yehuda says, in general, we're not chayash for this. I'm not chayash for this. But over here, this is the special day of the year. This is Yom Kippur.
Don't take chances.
Exactly. We don't want to take chances. Let's have that extra standby prep. Let's have everything, all our bases covered. Dot the I's, cross the T's. Let's make sure we're good. And that's where we're going to get to today, and tomorrow we're going to continue further. So let's do the Chazar from today. So today's Chazar is Vaha Midiktani Seifa. Is that where we got last time? Yeah. From where?
Just the line before.
Right. V'loy chayash Rabbi Yehuda. 1 second. Right. Thank you. V'loy chayash Rabbi Yehuda lebikiyas tonight. Are you not? Is Rabbi Yehuda not concerned? Like we said, going back, we're jumping back into it. We ended off. Rabbi Yehuda says he's not concerned. Why? Because he does not hold of breira. He's not concerned of it breaking. Not why. He's not concerned of it breaking. The reason why he says you can't do it, he doesn't hold of breira. So now comes the Gemara like it always does. Really? I have a case against it. If you look at the end of that brisa, he told Rameir, are you not concerned that the barrel will break? And you find that this person is taka drinking 12 mafreya, and like we said, that is chayv misa. So so how does he say? He says no. Really, it's a little bit more. I went back. So basically his answer was, come to me when a taka happens. So now, so what do we see from here? The reason that Rabbi Yehuda asked it is because he's obviously concerned about it. So we're saying no. We're just going to add a little bit more into the question. According to me, I don't hold of breira. So he's asking the question according to him. According to you, Rameir, are you not concerned that perhaps this barrel, this pitcher, whatever it is, will break? And again, Rameir comes back to him and says, when it breaks, come to me. So now we're going to continue another thing. Are you really coming to tell me that Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold of it, the animal dying? We're going to find a case that perhaps he does. We have a Mishnah in Yuma. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Af Isha Acheres, even Mitaknin Loi, Shema Thomas Ishtoi. We bring a second wife for him, like on standby. Perhaps his wife will be nifter. So obviously you see that Rabbi Yehuda is chayash somewhat for Misa. Ha'itmar Allah, over there it says, Amar v'huna b'redav Yeshua, ma'ala asu b'kapara. The difference is that we did an extra stringency for kapara. So basically, and this is what we're getting up to, the whole back and forth To sum it up, basically, Reb Meir is chayish from Misa, Reb Yehuda is not chayish from Misa, and the next day or two we're going to go through and see, okay, once we understand this establishment, we're going to jump back to the whole thing of Goyel Lekever, and that's going to be tomorrow on Mitzvah Shem, about this concept of, can Reb Meir say this, can he not, and can the Rabbanon be misaken a kula on it. Rabbi Say, keep chazering and have a wonderful night.